Okay, welcome to the CBIPS. Let me introduce our data analytics group. I'm Yu Yang. My teammates are Bingzhen, Zihao, Siqi, and Felipe. The purpose of this presentation is to give you an overview of artificial intelligence in the AEC industry. In this presentation, I would like to cover these four parts: background, AI technologies, AI compliance, and conclusion.
Let's start by looking at the background. This part includes the productivity, demand, and the safety in the construction industry, and why we need new technology. Construction is a major sector of the world economy. According to the McKinsey report in 2017, construction-related spending accounts for 13% of the world's GDP. But the sector's annual productivity growth has only increased 1% over the past 20 years. There are some reasons for this poor performance, while under-digitized is the most important one. Construction is slow to adopt new technology. However, the demand for construction is higher than ever. According to some data, $2.1 trillion are required to fill the infrastructure funding gap through 2025. There is also a 7.3 million shortfall in the new housing unit. Moreover, 18% contractors are difficult to hire qualified employees. Besides, construction industry also faces big problem in working safety. The number of working fatalities is the highest of all other sectors. Based on above figures, the construction industry faces poor productivity, increased demand, high worker fatality, low financial return. It is a time to find a new way to build and adopt new technology, where AI should be considered. Where on part 2, I will introduce the definition and technologies of artificial intelligence, as well as the current status of AI in the construction industry. So, what is the artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is a field of science that creating algorithms to simulate a kind of human intelligence. And machine learning is a set of algorithms that allow computers to learn from data, and deep learning is a set of machine learning. These slides show the difference between machine learning and deep learning. Deep learning has more layers of nodes between the input and output data than machine learning. Deep learning became popular in recent years since it can solve some problems that were once considered hard for algorithms. Even though AI is a hot topic, adoption of AI solutions is quite low in construction, particularly compared with other industries. So this is an excellent opportunity to be among the leaders in the AEC industry with artificial intelligence. And the AI use cases in construction are still relatively nascent. There are a few complaints can be evaluated. So for complaint classification, we separate complaints into technology and AEC complaints. You can see the typical complaints on the left, and then we put all these complaints into 7 categories. They're planning and design, schedule optimizer, and set monitoring, safety management, autonomous equipment, quality and cost management, sustainability, and contract management. Well, let's move to part 3, AI components. In this part, I will show some typical components for each category. This is the framework for coupling classification. I will break down this big framework into pieces later. The first category is planning and design. Planning and design contains land survey, visualization, and generative design. Here are some typical companies. The first company I want to introduce more is Core Studio in TT. And Asterisk is one of the AI projects in the Core Studio. It's a web application to provide rapid structure options in the early design. Simply upload a mass and a core model, and the Asterisk returns a concept level plan in seconds. Users can create iterations, explore and filter design space, and compare the performance. Multimode Download also have a department work on visualization. Here are some examples, like AR, VR, fire simulations, watch simulations, and so on. iWorks is a software makes converting aerial data to CAD drawings. Just follow these 3 steps. Step 1. Upload your point cloud files, and then define the set boundaries. And finally, download your CAD files to get quality control and clean up. And SpaceMaker is another software works for real estate development. The input data is tooling requirement, quality, preference, or even the physical environment. And then the output is different site proposals. The example above shows a height optimization with fixed building footprint. Where for safety management, safety management contains personal protective equipment detection and unsafe behavior detection. Also, risk mitigation. Here are some typical companies. And DAR is a company that provides software to annotate images with 3 labels: helmet, person with helmet, and the persons without helmet. And Golden is a Chinese company. This company provides software to monitor watch activity, to identify whether their behaviors are legal or meet the requirement of safety. The next is Schedule Optimizer and Progress Monitoring. It contains simulate different construction scenarios, forecast the manpower and project duration, also set documentation. Here are some typical companies. Acon is a famous firm in the AEC industry, and Acon is developing an AI-powered web and mobile platform called Capture. One of the first steps in the development of Capture is to identify individual materials, components, and equipment on the construction site. While Alice is a startup, Alice Technologies is an AI-based construction scheduling and management platform. It collects data including crew size, quantity of heavy equipment, materials, and production rate. The software then runs millions of simulations to arrive at schedules for user review, modification, and building. The company claims that project duration can be reduced 16% and the labor cost can save 14%. As for autonomous equipment, It mainly focuses on these four aspects, and there are several typical components. I choose Index AI to introduce more. Index AI is a company that provides software can monitor whether materials are delivered to the site on time or whether the machine is running. If the machine is not working, it will be marked as red square. Where for quality and cost management, it contains detect damage, estimate budget, as well as compile BIM models and real-life construction field work. I choose Core Studio and Astrolink to introduce more. T2D2 is an application developed by Core Studio in TT. It processes images or videos collected from structure inspections to detect visible damage. And these applications are widely used on buildings, bridges, especially on historical buildings. Then another component is Astrolink. Astrolink is a quality management platform for the construction industry. This platform can compare the difference between BIM models and the real-life construction field work, so it can prevent construction errors in real time. The next is sustainability. There are two ways to achieve sustainability in the AEC industry: lower energy use or reduce carbon emission of equipment. I will introduce more about how Skanska achieves sustainability. Skanska is a leader company in the AEC industry, and because construction equipment accounting for a significant amount of the industry's carbon emissions. In order to reduce emission, Skanska is trying to use artificial intelligence to optimize movement of the heavy equipment, and the major technology is deep learning. The last one is contract management. I will introduce more about EVSOT. EVSOT provides software focused on contractor generation, review, and management. The AI categorized clauses, labels them, so users are able to quickly find documents and make decisions. And that's all about the component classification. Where the last part is conclusion. About the trend of AI in the AEC industry. Even AI's use of cases in construction is still at an initial level, but certain companies are getting market attention for their AI-focused approaches. According to Market Research Future on 2019, currently, AI development in the construction market is assumed to acquire more than $2,000 million during 2017 to 2023. The global market is anticipated to grow rapidly due to the surging demand for safety considerations. So, in the future, there will be more and more investment to AI research in the AEC industry. Move to the AI laws and regulations. I found a consulting report that shows the latest legal and regulatory actions taken by countries around the world across these 9 different areas, such as computer vision, autonomous vehicles. Each country's laws and regulations are categorized and then evaluated as to whether the laws are in discussion but not performed, are performed as permissive laws or prohibitive laws. You can see from the bar chart, most governments are adopting a wait and see approach to laws and regulations on AI. The EU is the most active in proposing new laws and regulations. The US maintains a light regulatory posture, but some states, such as New York and New Jersey, has more strict laws. In addition, 24 countries have published permissive laws for autonomous vehicle operation, and 8 countries are currently in discussion to enable autonomous vehicles to operate. And 13 countries have advanced some level of discussion on the use of lethal autonomous weapon system. Only one country has already prevented use or development in this area. While the ethical and responsible use of AI continues to be the hot topic for discussion, no countries yet have specific laws in place around ethical and responsible AI. Also, there is no country published regulations about the malicious use of AI. When taking a look at US, there is a guidance for regulation of AI applications released by the White House on January 2020. This guidance contains 10 principles, such as public trust in AI, public participation, and so on. This US AI regulatory principle provide official guidance and reduce uncertainty for innovators about how their own government is approaching the regulation of artificial intelligence technology.
Moving on to cybersecurity in the AEC industry, we're going to talk about where the AEC industry stands when it comes to cybersecurity. So, according to the study Cybersecurity Challenges and Vulnerability Assessment in the Construction Industry by Barawa, the reality is that investment in high-level cybersecurity and awareness is still very low in the AEC industry, making it very vulnerable and attractive to malicious actors and hackers. It is also true that the AEC industry is behind when it comes to the adoption of new technologies in comparison to other industries such as marketing and also business that have fully adopted to the new wave of technologies. However, the AEC is increasingly starting to embrace new technologies such as AI, machine learning, and IoT to increase its efficiency, as our classmates have already presented. So more than ever, it is imperative to start discussing cybersecurity in the construction industry. One of the particularities about the AEC industry is that its projects have a life cycle that consists of 3 differentiated phases where new technologies are used. Those phases are design, construction, and O&M. This characteristic also presents 3 different ways for a cyber attack to happen in any of these phases. One example of a cyber attack occurred in March 2015 to Turning Construction CO, headquartered in New York City. They were a victim of a cyber attack where personal and financial information of workers was stolen using the method of phishing. According to the cybersecurity entire in their threat report, the construction industry is experiencing more confirmed phishing attacks than any other sector. On the other hand, as we can see in the graph below, that is a graph that shows alerts by sector. Construction industry made it to the graph just behind marketing, real estate, accounting services, and biotechnology. So, what do we think about the AEC industry in terms of cybersecurity? We think that the industry requires to look at cybersecurity as a threat, and it should start using the correct tools to provide security against them. Also, cybersecurity is already embracing new technologies, trying to follow up, catching up with the other industries. So it is more prone to these cyber attacks that want information or steal proprietary information, gain access to unauthorized files, and also tamper existing records. We also conclude that cyber attacks are on the rise, and it will only get worse. So it is therefore imperative for the AEC industry companies to start shielding up against the threat of cyber attacks.
Well, that's all. Thanks for listening, and all the questions and the discussions are welcomed.